Hello, this is Stephen Hour, and we are here with a movie review. It's been a very long time since I've done another movie review, other than the Bond series movie reviews, which I would occasionally do. So here we are, we're back with another movie review, and in today's installment, we'll be reviewing Grease. An absolute classic. We're going to get into some background, we're going to get into the cast, we're going to get into a bit of the plot, we're going to get into what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and my overall views on the matter. And overall, and this is one I'm really excited for. This is like a film I would watch constantly as a kid. It was one of my favorites. So let's get into it. Now, Grease. Grease is a musical romantic comedy that was released in the year 1978 in America. Now, the film is actually based off the 1971 musical of the same name by Jim Jacobs and Warren Cassie. Now, the film was written by Bronte Woodard and was directed by Randall Kleiser in his theatrical feature film debut. Now, this film is regarded by many as one of the greatest probably one of the most famous films, one of the greatest probably in the history of cinema. It's one of the greatest musicals ever, and it's also John Travolta, one of John Travolta's favorite films. He's in it. He plays the lead character, and this film, of course, is set in the late 50s, and it has a lot of those 50s looks, like the Greases and all that high school 50s scenes in America. And this is partly might have influenced maybe a little bit of my hair a little bit in the back of my mind, but I think it really never came out until maybe styling my hair 50 styles until I started really listening to rockabilly Elvis type songs in my early teens. This film I watched a whole lot as a kid. The plot of the film is about it starts off with a summer romance, what they both thought would be a short-lived one, with a boy named Danny and a nice girl named Sandy. She was expected to go back to her home in Australia, and as a result, they thought that it would be over. But then this new school year starts, where we find out that Danny is actually a greaser, one of those like bad boys, tough kids. And Sandy comes, and Sandy unexpectedly is still staying in America. They go, and essentially that's what the kind of premise is about. These two love-struck teenagers who fell in love during summer break and unexpectedly reunite in their senior year of high school, and we find out that they really are really polar opposites. And as we go through it, we get a bit of like teen drama, as you would expect, a lot of fun musical numbers because it is a musical, and a very colorful, extravagantic ride. The cast for this, well, what you're seeing here is really the main cast of the film. Of course, the main build stars is, of course, John Travolta in the role of Danny Zuko, and of course Olivia Newton-John in the role of Sandy Olsen. Now, in the film, they made her to be an Australian because of Australian background. That was never the case in the original play. That was very different. Other members of the T-Birds, we got Kenickie, played by Jeff Conaway, who actually has a past with the Grease production. As it turns out, in the Broadway version, he played Danny in the Broadway version of this, but now he gets to play second fiddle. Other members of the T-Birds include Doody, portrayed by Barry Pearl. We also have Sonny, portrayed by Michael Tucci. And of course, Putsy, portrayed by Kelly Ward. These are the members of T-Birds. Now, there's another gang called the Pink Ladies, which is essentially a female gang. Their leader is Betty Russo, played by Stockard Channing. We have Frenchie, portrayed by Cheetah Cone. We also have Marty, betrayed by Diana Manoff. And we have Jan, betrayed by Jamie Donnelly. Now these are really the main cast of the film. These are the main ones we really look forward to seeing every time. Other members of the cast include Eugene, portrayed by Eddie Deason, who is essentially the school nerd. We also have Patty, portrayed by Susan Buckner, and is essentially the head cheerleader. We also here have Tom, the popular jock, portrayed by Lorenzo Lamas. We also here have the T-Birds' rival, Leo Craterface Bermudo, head of the Scorpions, which is a rival greaser gang. And essentially he pops up in the film and causes, trouble. Here we also have Cha-Cha, portrayed by Anita Charles, Leo's girlfriend, and is a student at St. Bernadette's. Get what you could with that. The school staff, we have Principal McGee, portrayed by Evan Adrin, Blanche, portrayed by Judy Goodman, Coach Calhoun, portrayed by Sid Caesar, Miss Murdoch, portrayed by Alice Ghostly. Now she is the owns the auto repair shop and helps the T-Birds build their greaser car, and that does play a little bit into the film. We also have Viola, a waitress at Frosty's, which is a popular joint. They all hang out, portrayed by Joan Blondell. Have Vince Fontaine, portrayed by Eddie Bass, and he's like this famous celebrity kind of. And that's really the main cast to really focus on. They're all nice to pop up, some cause trouble, and essentially help drive the film. Good moments I like about the film. First off, this film has so many catchy musical numbers. And that's what you've got to think about musicals. There's got to be so many good catchy musical numbers. And there's so many good. You're the One That I Want, Summer Nights, Grease Lightning, Devoted to You, and Sandy. And of course, the other one, Sandra Dee. And of course, its theme song, Grease is the Word. I also like how the cast have such good chemistry and work off so well with each other. And just the production design looks absolutely great. It feels like it's bright. Now, maybe not a good depiction of the 50s. Again, it's a musical, and that's not really the case. So many good dance choreographs. My favorite scene of the whole film is the famous drag race at the end of the film, which I've always loved, always been one of my favorite moments. And of course, the on-screen chemistry between Travolta and Elton John, well, Olivia Newton-John, sorry, wrong person. The two just share so much good chemistry, and I really buy the two really love each other. Also like how they are polar opposites, and during the film they do try to change their appearance for one another. But that also leads to arguably my least favorite moment of the film when looking at it. If I could really say one bad thing about this film, and it's not even really that bad of a moment to really point out, but I guess the really bad moment when looking at this is maybe how modern audiences would look at Danny and Sandy's relationship. First off, how do they first meet? They don't know each other's background really that well. Sandy doesn't, and can act a little bit naive at times. And this leads into when they meet, Danny is the cool kid. Now, he's happy to see that Sandy's back, but he has to act like this jerk because of this reputation. And you can see how hurt, how guilty he in his face when he had to do that to Sandy. And of course, in the films where that kind of reputation he's forced to live up to does get in the way of him, just hanging out and being with Sandy. He has to be this image. It's peer pressure, and I find that they actually address that in the film. And of course, there has been moments where he does try to change up his act to get Danny's attention. Sandy's attention, such as him trying to be a jock at several points in the film, actually twice. And of course there was that scene at the drive-in. That maybe where Danny was a bit the douchiest, as he's trying to, you know, win her back a little bit after the whole thing at the dance-off with Cha-Cha. Again, this clearly indicates that he doesn't like to act like this guy, but he kind of is. It's in his nature to. And honestly, that's really just enough to say. Actually, really the only bad thing. But then, of course, he does try to, and even though he does act like a douche, there are moments where he redeems himself because he tries to change up his act and wants to be with Sandy. Even at the end, in the song You Want What I Want, when Sandy drastically changes her appearance, he is basically saying, I will let go, you know, I will, you know, maybe not be so goody, you know, spice up, you know, how I act if you essentially man up. And that's a good message, I really find. I certainly get that in the song. For me, that's only the really bad moment, and I'm addressing it as a bad moment because that's how most, I guess, audiences, or modern audiences, when looking at this, could address it. In conclusion, Grease is just such a fun comedy movie, comedy musical with so many catchy songs, and you know, some of these songs are just so huge in the pop culture mainstream. For me, Grease is undoubtedly one of the greatest musicals ever, and I would say for a while, this was arguably its greatest musical. And I love this. So, as a result, I give this film 5 out of 5 stars. It's so good. It's classic. True, it has that one bad moment like I mentioned. But you can easily forget about that. And once you realize just how much the two main characters really love each other. And I mean really love each other. And that's all I can say. This is a really fun movie. There we have it. That was Grease. Do you agree with these opinions? What do you take away from this? Anyway, that is the end of the Grease movie review. Join us next time when we review the movie The Godfather, my personal all-time favorite movie, when we get around to that one. Until then, this has been the Stephen Hour movie review. So long for now.